very quick look. One that doesn't require a lot of time. So this is all an experiment of where to look and how to sound, and so gotta start somewhere. I'm actually heading to a class this morning to do some video software editing. Actually, it's tomorrow morning. I'm going to the dentist today, so I wanted to get something filmed so that I could have some footage to work with the editing software, Movie Maker to be exact. So I'm going to start today with my regular, everyday foundation cocktail, which is Eyelash Fabulous and Infallible Pro Matte mixed together, about half and half. Just mix them on the back of my hand. I've already primed my face with Smashbox primer and primer water. I'm just going to dot it around my face here. And my mirror is in a new location to allow filming, so I may be looking in weird places, but hopefully you'll be able to see the majority of what I'm doing. I ordinarily use I call it a paddle brush to spread the foundation, just to get it everywhere to start. This is a Moda prismatic brush. It's beautiful. I have lots of Artiste knockoffs. I actually have 3 real Artiste brushes, and honestly can't really see a huge difference in their performance, because I really don't. I'm not worried too much about it, other than the fact that I want to spread the foundation out everywhere quickly. And they are very soft and very broad. The Artiste brush that I have like this is a small, very small paddle. And so I'm not going to forego one of the brushes that looks exactly like the Artiste for the more expensive one, because it's a lot smaller. Then I go over, I have a Real Technique sponge. I'll probably call it a beauty blender every time I use it, just out of habit. And I take the rest off of my hand and start pouncing it all over. I usually concentrate on my T-zone area, because I can't tell where to look. I think I'm looking directly at the camera now. But anyway, I go through, make sure there's no line of demarcation on my neck, and I smooth around my hairline, just even all out. Next, I work on my under eye. I use Tarte CC corrector. It's very emollient and peachy, and I basically just use it. I have some leftover mascara. It's crazy how you wash your face 2 times and still have remnants. But anyway, I go right up, right into the darkness right here, in the very inner corner. And then I just use the warmth of my finger to pounce that in so that it's nice and smooth to go. This is just a corrector, not necessarily a concealer. Get that prepared for the concealer. I use Tarte Shape Tape in light medium, and I don't use very much. I kind of dot in a little triangle. I'm also going to dot some on a few places where I have some people that have been joining me that are unwelcome. So we're going to cover those folks up. Okay, and you find something in your ear. Pretty sexy business. I use a tiny little Real Techniques sponge. I have a towel down in my lap that I'm removing the excess moisture. And I'm just going to go in with the pointy side of this little blender and just smooth this out as much as possible. I love this method because, especially with the Tarte Shape Tape, because it has so much pigmentation. It's so full coverage, and I really need that, especially on days like today where I've had a day prior to this when I wasn't feeling well, and I tend to have a lot of darkness under my eyes whenever I'm not feeling well. So just smoothing out all the other areas where I put little dots. Forgot my nose. I have a very distinct new freckle right on the end of my nose that I would like to disappear, please. So I'm covering that a bit too. I keep my small blender in hand and bring my Laura Mercier Secret Lightening Powder up. I use my little pointy end of my blender to go in and get a very small amount, look up, and I just basically powder over where I put the concealer. And there's really no evidence of any powder after you use it that way, because this locks it in basically with moisture in the under eye. I use two different powders for under eye because the brightening one is very brightening, obviously by the name, but it doesn't have any color, and I think it may have a tiny bit of shimmer in it. I'm not sure. I'm gonna take the other side of the Real Techniques sponge and do the same thing on my T-zone with Laura Mercier Translucent. And this has a bit of color. And it's a translucent powder, but it still has a little bit of coverage. I don't know how it does it, but it's the best one, at least for me. I just go over most of probably the inner area of my face is the best way to describe it, and just let it bounce in with this. I then take a very fluffy no-name brush, which I think is a Morphe brush or a crown brush, and dip into the translucent and just kind of make a little powder all over. This kind of blends everything in and make sure there's not any areas where there's a big bunch of powder. I then go in and put a little bit more on my brush of the translucent powder so that when I get in later with bronzer and blush and highlighter, I can use that as a way to blend it all together whenever that's done. I keep looking in the wrong place. Very obvious. I think I'm looking directly at the camera now, but it makes me feel like I'm looking cross-eyed. Gotta start somewhere, like I said, and I will get better quickly, hopefully. Looking for my bronzer brush here. It always seems to evade me. I need to do some sorting and some washing again. Alright, now I'm going to be using the Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula. I use this every day. Major pan on this one, and I have a backup waiting. I love the smell, but I love it the way it works too. So I just kind of suck in my cheeks and go around my cheek area. I have a pretty broad forehead, so I'm going over that. I pinch the brush and just go along the outside edge on both sides of my nose kind of like a mini contour, very subtle, and then go through and do the same thing on the other side. So I have some marks from my CPAP machine that I wear at night. Have a sleeping disorder, and not necessarily sleep apnea, but a sleep disorder. Now I go through my jawline. I just do it very straight back and forth at first, just to accentuate my jawline, and then I go through down my neck and blend through on everything with what's left on my brush. And then again, this is real subtle bronzing, really, not really contouring, but I use it to sort of put some shadow and shape. Next, I'm going to go in with my Morphe M143, my favorite fan brush for highlighter. Today I'm going to use Ofra Rodeo Dry. This is really intense, but I find that if I use it on this brush, it kind of chills it out. So I went on my Cupid's bow, tip of my nose, now I'm going on the tops of my cheekbones. Very beautiful and golden. I put a little bit more on the brush as a reserve until I'm ready to blend everything in. I'm going to use Instain by The Balm in the shade Houndstooth. It's a very plummy, mauvey shade. It's very pigmented, so I have to take it easy. But with my lighting, it's hard to see how much blush I'm getting. Sometimes I overdo it, but it's a very pretty rosy color and kind of matches everything. I mean, anything with this color scheme, pinks, mauves, anything that's neutral looks real nice with this one. Alright. I have a big mirror over to the side here where I look at everything too. Check what it looks like from that perspective. Do the same thing with that. Put a little bit of powder on the brush. Get some caffeinated beverage. This is what Emily Noel made me buy, but I've been using it for about a year and I love it. It takes a very tiny amount, which I probably should have shown you, but I kind of rub it all around first. But once it's on there, I start patting, because if I don't pat, it starts making like a white film. I think whatever's left over from my primer and concealer and all the things that I kind of get on my inner eyelid, I think that's probably getting disturbed and moved, and not necessarily the primer. But rub it on, and then when I get into the inner corner especially, I'll sometimes use the finger that doesn't have any on it, and then I tap on the rest. Now I take whatever eyeshadow palette I'm using and find a neutral color to set my primer. Today I'm going to use the Naked Ultimate Basics by Urban Decay. I use a large brush, something like this, that's broad, that won't take very long, and a very neutral color. I'm going to go with this one here. And maybe the lighter one below it, just to go over the entire lid all the way up to the brow bone. To set that primer, I find my eyeshadow blending as much, and I use translucent powder for this sometimes too, but I found that my blending on my eyeshadows goes much more smoothly when I have the primer set and it's more of a powdery surface instead of a I guess tacky one. Alright, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and go in with an angled brush in a moment and my NYX micro brow, but first I'm going to go over all my skin. Just kind of smooth everything out, make sure it's all blended well with that little bit of translucent powder. And then very quickly go over everything again with the highlight and the blush. I'm done with my face now. Alright, so for brows, I have very little brow hair, so I practically have to create my entire brow. So I go up and brush it all out here, upward and then to the side, and then I go in to start creating these babies. Start off with the bottom line of the shape of my eyebrow, and then fill in the tail. I'll do a full eyebrow and foundation routine video eventually. Today is just make sure I have some day. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time. I just wanted to make sure I've got something there. I never used to do my brows. I look back now at the pictures where I don't have my brows filled in. Look like almost albino. It's like all the color of my face has disappeared. But and then we get into the time where I start learning how to fill them in, and I have Groucho Marx eyebrows. I look crazy with too dark and too big and too boxy. So over the last couple of years that I've really been into makeup, I've found a shape that I think really suits my face and really frames my face and just makes everything look better. I always have to use a magnified mirror because I have glasses, and so when I have my glasses off, I got to get way down in this mirror. There you are. And so I have to look in a faraway mirror to really see. When I get up too close, it's hard to see everything, so I look in my big lighted mirror to see and make sure that my shape is strong. Go over and do it. Same thing on the other eye. The way I keep the shape and utilize the hair that I have is whenever I have my eyebrows drawn on, I go in with tweezers at the end of the day before I wash my face and pull out any brow hairs that are outside of the line, and that keeps whatever hair I do have kind of in line with the shape that I work with, that I draw in. And that seems to keep them in shape, except they look pretty scary whenever I don't have on eyebrows, because on this one in particular I don't have any brow hair at the end. I have to entirely draw the tail on, and so when I don't have makeup on, it looks like my half of my brow is gone. So I always feel like, even when I'm not wearing makeup, I always feel tempted to fill that in. I also don't have a lot of hair on the inner area, and so as you can see, I have to draw in most of that hair too. So that's about the basic shape. I kind of go back through and any sparse areas, fill them a little better, particularly on the bottom line here, because that tends to be the area that stands out if I don't have enough product on it. Alright. Next thing I do is go in with the angled brush, and I have a Too Faced Brow Envy, and I go on the darker shade here for my tail and the ashier lighter shade for the rest of the brow. And I just go through, and this really kind of goes, this kind of sets the NYX pencil, even though the NYX pencil is pretty waxy, not so much creamy. It does have a creamy element that if I don't set it, it'll move on me. I'm kind of wanting to try Wonder Brow, and I've been meaning over and over to check. I believe they have it at CVS now. And I'd like to try that and see if it actually works. I haven't had very much luck with pomades and those kind of textures. It doesn't want to stick around, and it looks too filled in and too harsh, like there's not any actual hair there. Don't really love that look. But especially in the summertime when I get sweaty and hot, I don't want to have to worry about if my eyebrows are getting wiped off. And that has happened lots of times. So look in that mirror again and see a few sparse areas. And get more powder and fill those in. When I feel happy with my shape, I take the spoolie end of the brush here and just kind of very lightly, without disturbing the product, brush my eyebrows again and kind of smooth out everything. And that's kind of a preparation for the NYX brow mascara. I think that's what it's called, brow mascara. And I use the shade in chocolate in the pencil and in the gel. And I just do the same motion upward and to the side, filling in the brow. This adds a little bit of color. It definitely takes the real brow hairs that I have and kind of bulks it out. It bulks them up. And I don't know why, but I also see that it kind of takes a bit of the darkness out of it. It makes it a little bit more red toned and kind of neutralizes the redness of it, I guess is the way I would describe it. I go in with the Q-tip and smooth out my inner corner, kind of fade it up where it doesn't look so harsh. I use a different one. This one is BH Cosmetics as well, 101. It's part of their eye set. Anyways, I go in with the very light transition color. I usually mix these two right here, and I'm just basically very lightly putting down a transition. It's usually just a couple shade or a shade lower or lighter, shade darker than your natural eye skin color. And I just start off, I go back and forth, but I also blow it out with circular motions. And it's not very visible at first, but again, this really gives a base for any darker shadows that are going to come in later. It gives it a place to have a powdery blend. Who knows if what I'm saying is making any sense, but I go from edge to edge. I kind of go down in circles right at my edge here because I'll be doing a darker color there. I'm going to go in with I love these Morphe brushes. Don't tell Jaclyn Hill. But I haven't had any trouble with Morphe brushes. They've been excellent for me. This is an M3. I can't read it. It's so small. Oh, it's an R37. It's a very big, fluffier brush, but a size down. And I usually mix these two colors. One of them's a little taupey, one of them's has a redder tone, and so them together kind of makes my perfect crease color. I basically do the same motion, except I go directly into my crease. And since I have hooded eyes, the darkness needs to stay above the actual crease line or you won't see it at all. But I kind of do the same basic motion here. I probably do more of a windshield wiper movement here because I'm really trying to deposit color in that actual crease. And once I have that down on both eyes, I'll go in with my original brush. There's a little black dot of something, I'm guessing excess mascara flake. Keeps showing up in my blending here. And I've gone into both shadows twice here. So that's what we have there. I go back in with my original brush without any excess product, any extra, and just blend out what I just did. And like I said, today's going to be very, 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 very basic because I'm going to the dentist. And I have a phone meeting with somebody from American Fidelity. They handle some of my insurances and my annuity financial business. Just checking that out for the year. Now I'm going to go in with, where'd we go? This color here underneath my brow. When I use a non-shimmery color, I usually go from the very beginning of my brow all the way through. I like a really bright eyebrow or under eyebrow contour, or not contour, but brightening. And whenever I use really dark colors, I actually like to put shimmer there. But whenever I'm doing a non-shimmer, I like to put it all the way across. When I use a shimmer, I like to just put it right on the arch. That's my husband talking to my dog. So I take the two lighter shades, mix them up, and that's what I'm going to put on my lid today. I just like it to be real bright. Real bright. And even though I'm using almost all mattes, I'm going to go in with a color here on in my Modern Renaissance by Anastasia. I'm going to go through here and check in the time. I'm going to choose Vermeer, and I'm going to use this Morphe brush for my inner corner. I like my inner corner to be a satin or a shimmer, even if I'm doing an all matte look, because I just think it shows such a brightness in the inner corner and it makes it very pretty. If there's any left, sometimes I'll very, very, very subtly put that right in my arch. That's not showing up a lot, so I'm going to go back in with the second little layer here. As far as my top lid, that's all I'm going to do for that today, because I'm, like I said, being pretty basic. Next time I will have all my brushes ready and I won't be searching for one the whole time. But now I'm going to go back through with my original brush with no product and do another little blending. Since I don't have a lot of time today, I'm going to go into, I think I'll go in with this reddy brown, this burgundy-ish color, and using the Coastal Scents BRC N08. I'm just going to put it right on the very, very, very outer V on my lower outer V of my lid. And this is way pigmented and I probably put entirely too much, but I'll do a blend here in a second And this is just to add a little bit of depth to my outer V. Yeah, this didn't go on very smoothly. Looks kind of funky, but we'll smooth that out with Fluffy Blending. This is a Morphe M433, and it's actually been used, so it's got something on it, but I'm getting to be to the time where I've got to get a move on here. Don't want them to have to wait on me at the dentist. So just blend that out real good with circular motions, kind of pushing it into the actual crease. Leave it at that. I go back with my, or I don't. I was going to use the beginning brush, but I'll use the one that I've just been blending with all along. Now I take a brush that's very compact and soft, go into this color for very soft definition of my lower lash line. I don't like to make this really distinct whenever I'm going for a softer eye look. And that's all I'm going to do to the bottom. So that's what my eyes look like for now. And done with that. I'm going to go in quickly and put all my brushes away. I'm going to, before I do any eyeliner work, because my eyeliner gets jacked up if I try to curl my lashes afterwards, so we don't want that. I have my Tarte Beautiful Pearl eyelash curler. So at first I go way down to the very root and just pump it, and then I move out a few millimeters, I guess. And I kind of have some lash glue in here from where I was trying to pinch together some natural lashes and false lashes on my friend Becky last night. She's just getting into makeup. I've corrupted her. And so she was putting on some false lashes last night, and okay, that's good enough. I'm going to get my Kat Von D Trooper liner, which is my go-to liquid liner. I love it. It's a brush tip. And it just works the best for me. I usually can handle it pretty well. But I'm going to go in, make my outer line, which is going to be not very dramatic today. I start small because sometimes, I'm going to put this down a tad. Sometimes I'll make it longer as I perfect it, so I start small. I hold my eye just a little bit taut, and then I go into my inner corner and pull across. So I've got my outside and my inside, and now I start here and go in to meet. And when I do my wing, I go down, because if I don't, when I open my eye, the whole wing will be covered. So I have to do a very distinct swoop down right here. And so I'm going to go through right up next to my lash line and fill in any of the area that's not black, all the way down to my inner corner. Please don't smudge. I have a trouble with eyeliner smudging there because my eyes water. Maybe because I'm sticking brushes and curlers and assaulting that area, maybe. All in the name of beauty, right? I keep looking in the wrong place. Alright, I usually go back in, shake it up again to go in for my other eye. Same thing. I draw out my wing, I hold my eye taut, go into my inner corner, pull it across, and then go from my outer corner and connect them, and then fill it in. And you can go as thick and dramatic as you like, but again, I have to swoop down in that area so that it will not close up in my lid. I go back through and fill it in. Okay, I'm happy with that. A good rule of thumb that I've said many times with liquid liner is leave well enough alone. You're not going to get it perfect. You're not going to get it symmetrical, no matter how OCD you are about it. So, especially when you're going to be late for an appointment, leave well enough alone. Today I'm going to use, on my lower lashes, I always use Rimmel Lash Accelerator. It's excellent. It's very, I love the brush, the wand. It's just very separating. It doesn't ever get clumpy. It just kind of fans them out and feathers them out and puts a nice bit of color there. So I do that on both eyes. I usually don't even have to dip my wand a second time. Is it a wand? Is it a brush? I guess it's a wand and a brush. Alright, so bottom of our lower lash line is done. And now try very much not to stick this wand in my eye so that I don't end up with mascara all over my bottom lashes. Oh yes, I have eyelash glue still in my lash. There's like a big lump right in the middle, of which I don't have time to deal with today. So I'm just going to have spider lashes today. Yeehaw. I always make myself laugh because I'm very obsessive about perfectionism when it comes to my makeup. And I've had to learn after making myself late that, you know, it's good enough, Sherri. It's good enough. It's good enough, Sherri. It's good enough. So I'm just going in with the second layer here. And I just kind of close my eyes on the wand where it kind of pulls through. And I don't love that over here, but leave well enough alone. One of these days I'll get used to looking at where the actual camera is, and I'm not looking at you over here, but looking at you right there. Alright, done with that. I'm going to go ahead and very quickly, if I can find, hopefully can find what I'm looking for. Yes. I'm going to use my Kat Von D Lovecraft liner, and I'm going to use a Smashbox. I cannot for my life see what this is. I'm not prepared. I'll just show you the color. A really nice small V mini from their holiday set. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Doing good on time. Got to leave very soon though. So I am closing up shop here quickly. I go around to define my top line. Love this liner. Probably going to buy about 5 more when I go to Sephora. Very creamy, very full coverage, can be used on its own and it doesn't feel, it can get dry. But it's very long lasting if you're going to be out and need your lip color to last for a long time. I always fill it in all the way, but I'm going to get a bunch more colors of this. It's an excellent formula. I wouldn't mind having every single color. This is a very moisturizing one. Definitely want to blot it whenever I leave because I don't want the dentist to spread it all over my whole face. When I'm done with everything, I go through with, on my days where I'm not concerned about my makeup lasting a really long time like today, I use Matte Finish by NYX Finamatte finishing spray, or I use the dewy one on some days, but today I'm using the matte one. Just close my eyes and give my face a good spritz. This just kind of takes away all the powder and makes everything lock in. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm going to put on some perfume today. I'm going to use Guess Dare, one of my favorites. And then I'm going to go put my jewelry on and get myself ready to head out the door. I'll do a perfume collection video eventually because I'm just obsessed. And when you see how much I have, you'll think, oh, Lord, you are obsessed. I like to spray a little in my hair. This perfume is beautiful, but it doesn't last, so I put a lot on before I leave. But anyway, thank you for joining me, and thank you for your patience with my very beginning filming. Today I will be going to the dentist. Tomorrow I have a video editing class, so hopefully I'm going to take this footage and do something with it where it'll be workable for me to put on YouTube. If not, this can be my first one that I go back to a couple of years from now and think, oh God, I have improved a lot, hopefully. But anyway, have a great day. God bless.